Chairman,
Good afternoon.
members of the fiscal committees, it is a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for affording the local governments an opportunity to bring a message from your communities, our communities, from all over the state. Whether you're from the southern tier, the North Country, the lower Hudson Valley, central New York City, we bring the message of your regional governments. We bring a message of some tension. We bring a message of opportunity. And we hope that you'll listen to what we say, include us in the ongoing deliberations of the important work that you are tasked to do for the people of New York. And again, we thank you for affording us an opportunity. I'm joined here to my immediate right by the Association of Counties President, Anthony J. Picente of Oneida County, and on behalf of the New York State County Executives Association, the Honorable Rob Astorino could not be with us here today as President. Kathleen Jimino has volunteered to join us. I'd like at this point in time, before I provide some further remarks, ask our President Anthony Picente to offer some perspectives.
Good afternoon, Chairman DeFrancisco, Chairman Farrell, members of the committee. Again, it is our great pleasure and appreciation that we come before you today and talk about some issues that are very relevant and most important to counties across New York State. And I'm proud to represent the New York State Association of Counties as its president, and joined by my counterpart in Rensselaer County, the county executive, Kathleen Jimino. We appreciate, first and foremost, the efforts of the governor and of both of your legislative bodies over the time to continue to recognize the effect that state mandates have on local property taxpayers and on local governments. We fully support the intent of the governor's budget proposal to impose no new mandates on counties and provide important fiscal relief and stability. I'll talk about a few items and then turn it back to Steve to recap some other issues that are important to counties. I want to talk about public safety. One of the issues that is most important to those of us in local government, the OCFS facility charges. NYSAC strongly supports the governor's decision to cap county liabilities for retroactive and prospective reimbursements back to the state for youth placed in state facilities operated by the Office of Children and Family Services. Our counties do not control these placements. They are made by family court judges, and once made, the state and counties split the cost. The governor's proposed budget builds on the promise of earlier reforms and locks in a known dollar amount for potential county costs in the future, while waiving excess retroactive billings to counties, all within the parameters of the current state financial plan. Another issue is that you've heard. I've heard the Speaker of the New York State or New York City Council speak of is raising the age of criminal responsibility. I had the pleasure of being on the commission representing the counties, and counties have supported the public policy goals of raising the age of criminal responsibility from 16 to 18 for nonviolent offenses, but we have consistently raised concerns about the cost of such actions and the capacity of providers to deliver the necessary services. This public policy goal is critically important. The key to this is ensuring that once a child is diverted away from criminal detention, a full slate of services are available to the child and their family. Because counties play many roles in the criminal justice and social services system, this change will have a direct impact on county costs and services, and therefore must address the concerns raised by county officials. We need a full commitment on the part of the state to create and fund an expanded juvenile justice system that will rehabilitate these teenagers, and that system needs to be created. As you proceed in these negotiations, this is what our counties will need to support this initiative. First, specific language to fully cover all new costs associated with expanding services for teens in order to avoid a new unfunded mandate on counties. And secondly, we recommend an escrow account funded 100% by the state, so that as the county needs funds for local services, we can draw them down in the transitional period. Indigent defense is another area that's of most important. It's a state requirement under the federal Constitution, but in New York it is provided for and funded at the county level. Last fall, the state settled an indigent defense lawsuit involving the state in 5 counties. We encourage the legislature to support full state funding for those 5 counties involved in the Hurl Herring settlement. The settlement requires the 5 counties involved provide new indigent defense services and standards. These include caps on caseloads and counsel at first arraignments, both of which will need funding. We anticipate further that this demand for these new services and standards will become required of all 57 counties in the near future. The Office of Indigent Legal Services, OILS, is requesting the state pick up these costs outside of New York City, and NYSAC supports this request. According to OILS, this cost, covering the caseload cap outside of the city, will cost about $105 million annually. In addition to the new services coming out of the settlement, counties outside New York City currently spend $150 million annually for indigent defense services. We call on the state to gradually take over these costs associated with these services. I would now like to turn it over to Executive Director Acquario for some other comments on county initiatives.
Thank you, President Picente. The association and its membership strongly believe that the best way to provide property tax relief is to address its root cause and being specific with the mandates that affect the regional governments and eliminate those cost drivers. For counties, our ability to lower costs is directly tied to the amount we pay for services that counties provide on behalf of the state. The legislature and the governor implemented a property tax cap, which this association supported, and freezes to address the rate of future growth in property taxes. But we supported this property tax cap and freeze with the pledge of mandate relief. Today we're asking the legislature to redress this property tax cap and include some suggested amendments. 1, municipalities should be able to exempt capital debt from the formula, just as schools are allowed to do. Most of our capital construction is state mandated, or many of it is. 2, the increases in pilot revenues should not be included in the tax cap formula. 3, the court-ordered expense exemption should be extended to refunds ordered as a result of tax certiorari proceedings. 4, exempt emergency expenditures related to repairing and or replacing equipment or public infrastructure that is destroyed by a natural disaster or other unforeseen event. And 5, modify the administratively imposed look-back period of January 2012 established by the Division of the Budget related to eligible shared services and government efficiencies necessary to qualify for the property tax freeze credit. The governor's budget also calls for an expanded income tax credit based on the amount of property taxes homeowners pay. It's also been called a circuit breaker. While the governor's proposal would reduce many individuals' overall tax burden, it will not reduce property taxes. As an alternative to the governor's $1.7 billion income tax credit, the association and its member counties strongly urge the legislature to reject this proposal and lower county Medicaid costs in areas subject to the tax cap in a similar dollar amount to the governor's proposal. The state could then adjust the county property tax caps to ensure that as the state reduces county costs, it is reflected in local tax caps, leading to direct lower property taxes. This approach would guarantee lower property taxes for all of our homeowners, all of our small businesses, proportionate to the Medicaid burden in each county. It is less complicated, more transparent for taxpayers than higher property taxes and then waiting to receive an income tax credit a year later. Shifting to the use of bank settlement funds. The governor has proposed a broad outline for using one-time bank settlement funds. We believe these funds should, 1, target funds for broadband deployment in underserved areas, as proposed by the governor. 2, create an incentive fund to foster shared services and government efficiencies, as proposed by the governor. 3, set aside a portion to respond to emergencies and natural disasters, as proposed by the governor. 4, target regional infrastructure projects that will benefit the New York economy overall. And 5, specifically, we need more funding for locally owned and maintained roads, bridges, culverts, and critical infrastructure. 87% of the state's 110,000 miles of roadways and 50% of the state's 18,000 bridges are locally owned and maintained. Shifting to preschool special education, counties strongly supported the rollout of 100% state financing commitment for universal pre-kindergarten for all 4-year-olds across New York State. We remain concerned, however, that this state expansion is leaving certain children behind, and those children are children with special needs. They should not be in a separate program, as they currently are. The result will further widen New York's gap for implementing the Federal Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and we ask that all children are included in this program. A few years ago, the state increased the county's share of safety net funding to 71% and reduced the state share to 29%. It used to be 50-50. Initially, this was offset by fully federalizing both state and local TANF costs, but that is no longer the case. Counties strongly objected to this change at the time, and it is becoming a significant challenge for many counties. We urge you today to restore the historic funding shares to 50-50 and provide much-needed relief to local taxpayers. Finally, counties will be renewing efforts in support of past proposals from the governor and the state senate to allow counties to renew their existing sales tax authority every 2 years locally, without the need for state legislative action. Ideally, this could be handled through an omnibus bill that has been introduced by Assemblywoman Sandra Galiff that extends to all counties existing sales tax rates permanently and allow the handful of counties with sales tax rates below 4% to adjust it to those rates up to, but not in excess of 4% if they deem it appropriate. 55 New York counties will have 55 individual bills that need state legislative approval this year to continue their existing sales tax arrangements that in some cases stretch back to the 1970s. One bill would be much more efficient than 55 bills going through the legislative process. With the minute or so that we have remaining, I'd like to turn it over to Kathleen Jimino to see if she may have a comment. I know, Kathleen, you had expressed an interest in addressing community college funding.
Yes. In our case, Rensselaer County's case, we are the host community to Hudson Valley Community College. It is a wonderful college. It is a gem. It is a job creator and job generator and fills the gap for many other job creators in terms of a ready workforce. The state is required by law to fund the operations of the community college by 33%. Then 33% is to be paid by the students and 33% by the local governments. Unfortunately, the state funds the community college to the tune of about 22%, shifting that balance then to the students and as well to the local counties. As such, our property taxes, again, are pushed higher by the fact that this is a shifting cost from the state. Last year, there was an increase in aid to the community colleges that we thought was a step in the right direction in terms of moving toward the statutory requirement of 33%. However, that is not repeated in the governor's proposal this year. We would like to see continued steps toward getting the state up to its fair share as defined in law of 33%.
And if I could just add to that just one point, it's important to note that when counties or when the state reduces community college funding in any given year, nothing happens. If a county chooses to reduce community college funding in that particular year, it triggers offsets on state funding and on other community college levels. So the college gets penalized even more so if the county can't make the same contribution. That's not a fair process. Glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you very much.